call the meeting to order here, and we'll get right into the agenda. Welcome, everyone. We'll start with part 2, reviewing of the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to look over?
I did, but I'd like to make an amendment. TNT did not receive a CNY Arts grant.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was.
It's gonna, what we're going to pay Michael Calabrese out of TNT funding.
Any other review of the minutes? Okay. May I have a motion, please?
A motion to pass with the amendment?
Tina and Emmanuel. Very good. Next, old business? No old business.
No old business.
Moving on. We also have new business, and we do have artist Allie Walker in-house. SPAC 24-2, deck of card houses. Allie, why don't you step to the podium here and speak a little bit about your proposal. Everyone should have a copy here.
Hi, I'm Allie Walker. I'm a resident of Tipperary Hill and an artist. I was approached to paint Lower Coolidge Avenue. It's over by the entrance by the zoo. It's kind of a nice little entryway as you go around into Tipperary Hill. This is the image of the existing wall right now. The Tipperary Hill Neighborhood Association and I have worked together to create a sign that is a little more reminiscent of the Irish architecture that has candy-coated houses that dot the landscape in Ireland. As you can see, this is the rendering for said mural, and the below picture that we had is of Cov, Ireland. Because of its noted candy color houses that dot this lovely streetscape that is on a hill. It's on a slanted hill, just like the mural that we are proposing. The street itself is also on a slant too as well. So to have this landscape, we thought would be really beautiful, just to add to the corner and beautify the area just a little bit next to where the proposed botanical garden will be next to the zoo. And that's it. Any questions?
Is it, if I can, is it correct that the city is going to be prepping the wall?
Yes.
And, okay.
It's a city wall, yep.
So it is a city property, and the city will be preparing the wall and putting the base coat down, or just, okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Commissioners, any questions for Allie? Yeah, awesome. Okay, thank you. SPAC commissioners, any? No? All right. Can I get a motion to vote to pass deck of cards by Allie Walker? Emmanuel and Devana. Very good. Congratulations, Allie. After we vote, of course.
Yes,
Premature a little bit there. I was excited. 140 feet down, huh? It's a big one. Okay. Let's take a vote. Those in favor, please raise your hand and keep them raised. Very good. Unanimous. Thank you, Allie. Congratulations. Excellent. Thank you. neighborhood. All right, moving on. Discussion time. City's Canvas update. Tina, you got something for us?
So their last two murals are up right now on the lakefront and the valley. Tomorrow at the Valley TNT, we will be hearing from 3 local artists that submitted designs, and they will be voting at the meeting, and then we have the postcard ballots that we've been doing for all of them, and those will pass out to the neighborhood and around the area, and that will be, we are expecting people to mail them up until the April 30th, and then we'll tally the votes sometime in May, and we'll announce the winner mid-May. Lakefront, the RFP deadline is April 19th, so we'll subsequently be having that discussion next month on what that's about. And that's it.
So the commission could expect an application for the Valley at the May meeting or in the June meeting?
I'm
do you
hoping
think?
May. That was
Okay.
my intention.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other one will be in
June.
in June?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. We have Parks Commissioner Tony with us today, and he's next up on the agenda. Would you like to come forth, Tony? Maybe even
Here, come and sit. At the table. I'll move.
few updates here.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to add that Deputy Abbott, Deputy Commissioner Parks is
Chris, how
also
are you?
here. And yeah, what do you want to update on? Well, I have a great update
Okay.
as far as Kate's involvement in this, and we have found a public art coordinator. Her name is Ann Kofer, and she starts on May 1st. Yeah,
May 1, yeah.
she's great.
Anne was wonderful in the interview process as well. A lot of interesting ideas that came up just from that part of it. So it was exciting.
Interesting ideas, and she went and looked at every piece of public art, as a preliminary investigation and for the position. I like that. It was great.
Excellent, yeah.
She's also, I mean, her primary, she's a practicing artist, but she's also an arts educator. So it should fit in really well with the arts programming that you're doing already, and education planning that you're doing in the Parks Department. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're very happy. And also, so you said May 1st for the start? May 8th, okay. Thank you. Yeah, she has to probably give a month at City School District, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it was.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting news, new full-time public art coordinator. And then, anything else that you would like to discuss, Tony, now that you're with us?
No, it's great to meet everyone, actually. I see Lipe Art Park on here. There has been discussion recently about a possible fundraiser. I was hoping that maybe we might be able to discuss that.
Yeah, we have some representatives in the room here as well.
Okay,
Probably can speak to it.
all right. I don't know if this is the right form. Are you Rick? Rick, all right, nice to meet you.
Delvin and the Gear Factory are going to have open studios, like the bookend of that block of West Mass. And in the past, there was a group at Westbury and Black Park, but now that's City Park, and Parks Department. So, spoke with Josh earlier today about what the process would be for that. Park Commission, temporary or small group, tenants and stuff like that. But as far as the Public Art Commission, our park is curating that. We're in kind of a process. Like who will be
Yeah, so I guess step one is, now that it does belong to under Parks and Rec and it was purchased for $1 back in the day, it is a full city park, so there's some permitting involved for events, but when it comes to the public art, it's just like any other public art throughout the city, just as long as there's symbiosis with parks as far as taking care of it and moving forward, so the application would still come in front of SPAC correctly, but other than that, however it's funded, however it's,
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's some interesting precedent that's also set by, for example, the UVP urban video project where they have a curator who helps curate the artwork and brings it to SPAC for review.
I know that
yeah.
Joshua had expressed interest in kind of like resurrecting Flap or Slap back in the day. Originally the Friends of Light Park and then the Stewards, I
Stewards.
think, of Light Park, right? Yeah, Stewards, right? And so, you know, having SPAC and other community members be involved in kind of like a, you know, along with parks, kind of like a overarching committee to bring artwork to Light Park would be pretty cool. I think that might be the way we're heading. Maybe a SPAC member can volunteer to be on said committee and move forward together like that. No? Yeah, the Public Art Commission will continue to just be the final piece of the puzzle for getting the application for whatever public art comes through to be accepted. But, you know, if you guys want to continue to change like the Art Shark and bring public art to LIPE, I suppose the best route is to kind of create like its own little Friends of Light Park again and make it all volunteer and we'll work together to make it happen.
Does the Parks Department have, an existing infrastructure that, so is there, I don't know, other Friends of Parks groups or?
There are many
Yeah.
Friends of Parks groups,
Yeah.
many, so like when you were talking, my wheels were turning, and I like the formation of a group. There's no template. There's so many groups that I discovered, like, we should have a template for this, so sorry that you're coming in a little premature. But, yeah, a formation of a group, and, you know, they kind of run just as like TNT.
And like Harold, you found success with, you know, open studios at Delavan and being able to facilitate some funding for some murals before. And so kind of like the same idea, having some kind of entry fee and raising some funds and. Nice.
Is there anybody here from the Conservancy, from the Parks Conservancy? Another possible avenue would be the Parks Conservancy, as far as a funnel. This would be for the fundraising efforts. And even if you wanted to go for a grant, if they're a non-for-profit entity, so they could actually do that grant application also. I guess that would go back to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, a public call RFP is always the play. We probably could help generate some, you know, marketing for it and help like co-promote it and such like that. That at least that we can offer. Get it out across our channels. Depending on like what you guys are thinking, you know, is it sculpture? Is it, you know, something along the wall? Is it like a retaining wall next to the pump track? Whatever you guys are going for, you know.
So I guess first step, it seems like, would be coming to the Parks Department, us coming to a consensus, and then dialing back to you guys over here. My question is, now, public art needs to be approved by you guys. Public art coordinator is in charge of actually going through the list, or per se database of folks that match, and then coming up to a decision with that. Now, that's on city property. Is it also on park property, park city property? Just looking for an answer on that one. So like if they did come to the table with an idea, would it go through the same process as if, let's say, next to Salt City Market? Or is the process different
answer-
being a park property?
So, again, to step it back a little bit, the Public Art Commission reviews public art that is on public property plus murals. And murals can be on private property, if that makes sense. So if Salt City Market had wanted to put up a sculpture on their private property, it would not have come in front of the Public Art Commission, but because it was a mural going right next to Salt City, the Salt City mural is what I'm thinking of, it did come in front of the SPAC because of just usually the size and scope of murals and the fact that we want to make sure that murals are not are actually advertising, that it's supposed to be artwork. So, so to get back to your question, any artwork that is going on city property would require a public art commission review, whether or not it's a mural or it's a new installation, and it would require the Parks Department's approval.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
about right.
So Parks Department approval would be the first thing, and then it would come here.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, no, it's one process, for sure. Yeah, public art application is the one process, and part of the application is getting that approval, making sure there's an approval from the property owner. And in this case, it would be the Parks Department. So, yeah.
There's not currently. We do have a little seed money that we budgeted, but that is for the public art coordinator to have possible matching funds for whatever grants that they solidify. Are we speaking about life art? To my knowledge, it's been just months, but
Yeah.
since it's been official, maybe it was in, you know. Well, soon there'll be the West Side Trail, you know, starting in Light Bar Park. So that's kind of just like the first spark of an idea within that footprint. I'm assuming that we will be permitting it soon. And when we do go that route, we will be installing whatever we need for the permitting process. Currently, no, we only had it for 3 months, and those conversations haven't been held. But to your point, maybe it's a good time to start looking into that.
Highly recommend, when you go out to Oswego, talk to Benjamin Entner, who, over their rotating sculpture program on campus. They have,
Nice.
several different plinths, and they rotate them, is it every 2 years? Do
Yes,
you know?
every 2 years.
Every 2 years, and they have a good system for curating that, and they might be aware of things they wish they had when they put them out, and
Sure.
things they have that are really great, and things they don't have, or different concerns, because they're already doing that.
Now, Rich, were you talking about for future inquiries, or were you speaking in terms for like the potential fundraising efforts upcoming?
I think I feel pretty good about what we're gonna be doing, make sure we raise money. Figure out what happens. Of course, fireworks is a part of it.
Absolutely.
I realize you're doing the trail, like our probably be part of that conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Any improvements that make sense at the time, I'm sure we'll have that conversation. You bring up a good point about power. Hasn't been discussed yet. Doesn't mean it can't, though.
I got a report over, we had
Oh, we'd love to know that. Yeah.
Yeah, transversely, you're doing some sort of report on the land of the whole entire lot of Light, or the Conservancy might be doing it, I'm not sure, Chris. And we've heard, like Joshua spoke of a plan for Light Bar Park at one point in time, in a previous meeting here. So I wonder if it was like an ecology plan or exactly what it was, landscaping layout maybe.
Are you aware of that?
Emmanuel?
I'm not.
Yeah, probably the plan that you're talking about, he did it in studio at ESF about
okay.
6 or 7
He
years
did.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He did a
So it
nice.
has like some groundwork too, so maybe we
I didn't know
can
there was a
take the
plan
two,
company,
look at
so
them
I'd
and
love to see it.
cross-reference.
I know he did
yeah.
a nice map.
yeah.
Oh.
He has a plan.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And nice to meet you. I forgot all about you.
Emmanuel Carter.
Absolutely. Josh warned me that you would be here. Well, not warned me. Pleasure to meet you.
Okay, same here.
Since you guys are the ones giving the money, it's like a co-gear factory / Delavan call, I suppose, when it's commissioned like that?
Yeah, and we can help in terms of getting the information out, but
Yeah.
but as you're the sponsors of the project, but the Public Art Commission and Parks and the city could help amplify for you.
We can send it to the Registry of Artists and everything that we have at our capability, but you're paying for it, so you're making the call.
Yeah, as far as past, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But as far as past projects in the parks that are brought to us by neighborhood groups, they become our stakeholders for that project, and we do circle back for input and decision making. Great question. No, not at this moment. To my knowledge, we just got the first murals that Parks has. There's some public art on the ground in a few areas. And I've only had to approach a few areas a couple times. But no, there's no mechanism in place for redoing that public art because there hasn't been public art that much in probably,
Depending on the size, Rick, there's a couple options that are always kind of out there, like the what-if grants. It could be like a neighborhood thing from the, yeah, right. And then also, like we talked about Conservancy. Conservancy has $5,000 grants right now, but they have to be like green-centric. So if it was like landscaping or like natural sculpture, they could go that way.
I do have a question when you're done. I'm assuming you're asking because you're getting ready to, secure funds for this artwork, right? Or is this in general? See, so that's a tricky question, and I'll be honest, it's something that I haven't really thought all the way through yet. But I do notice that neighborhood groups bring projects to the parks. Parks does it, and then we own it. So, but it's great that they bring it. So it's like I haven't thought through it yet. I love the fact that folks bring public art opportunities where there was none prior. But the long-term plan is something that I'd like to talk through also. Not saying we're gonna own it. Like for one, I don't know how long the public art will stay till it needs to get a touch-up. But I would like to start having that long-term conversation with groups. Not saying that we're gonna put it on you, but just open the conversation. It might have to be something that we start budgeting for. It may not be. Whatever makes the most sense for the constituents and for the groups that we work with, it will be, but I can't answer your question right now. But it's a great question.
People were start to put it out there, forming a group,
Yeah, it has come up in discussion, yeah. It has come up in previous meetings, and Joshua kind of from Parks was at the meeting. He brought it up, and we said, okay, let's think about what this would look like. You know, so yes, to answer your question. Right. Yeah, if you'd like prefer to maybe just maybe keep an open spot on Friends of Light Park or whatever you're calling it, one for SPAC, two for Parks and Rec, and any particular person could make the representation, then we'd be able to move forward, and you could create those programs where you could rotate new work in. Yeah.
So try to get a member of the Parks Department, member of the
Yeah.
It would make it much easier for everyone.
And if a member from the Parks Department is not an official member, I go to neighborhood meetings all the time. Deputy Abbott goes to neighborhood meetings all the time. We can go to the important ones for the planning and just so we can hash everything out because, I mean, at the Parks Department, like any other department, we appreciate the volunteerism from the residents and we do anything to meet you halfway.
Yeah, once Ann gets settled in, obviously she could make those meetings as well. Yeah.
Ann would love that.
You know?
Like, if you're willing to do the work, we'll definitely meet you halfway, 100%.
Anything else, Rick?
I have a question about the 35,000 that is going to be budgeted in the next fiscal year.
Yep.
You said that that was going to be used for matching grants. What, I don't know, maybe you don't know yet, but what is that process? What is that for? Is it for the production of new art? Is it for maintenance of our current inventory? Or, you know, could neighborhood groups apply for a grant and get matching funds from the city? Like, what is that 35,000? What is the process for that money?
Great question. It's 25,000, and that money was earmarked before I came to the city. But I would like to leave some autonomy to the process at this moment because that question has been asked. That's a great question. I don't have an answer for it right now. I'd rather dig a little deeper. And I'd also like to wait for the public art coordinator to come on and then probably have a collective conversation at that point. Great question. I feel like during budgeting last year, they just kind of knew that there needed to be something allocated for public art, and that was the narrative that was delivered to me. So your narrative, your question brings a lot of more questions for me. Thank you.
I think it will depend in part on the kind of grant that's being applied for as
Yeah.
to what it can be used for.
Right.
And how some grants require a match and some don't, so it just depends. But I think it's good to think about them as a match and not just a spend down.
But I can't answer one small piece of that question. You asked if neighborhood groups could use it as their match. I would just probably say my immediate thought is no, only because that would take away from some of the autonomy from the public art coordinator to have matching funds if she really needed them. But I will be honest with saying the thought has come to mind where I realize that we're moving in a different direction with the public art coordinator position becoming full-time now, that we need to have that. We need to be thinking about these things, right? Public art in the parks, public art and parks projects moving forward. We missed the window this year to do some thinking about that for budget season here at the city. But moving forward, I definitely would like to have that conversation on what our new approach is to setting something aside for public art.
Now, will we, as a commission, be informed as to what grants the city's looking at, like Parks Department, and then, you know, or what the coordinator's looking at? Will that information come back to us, and then we help with that selection process? Or, you know, what's that going to look like?
Another great question. I wish I would have been prepared for this. I guess we can approach that as it comes, and we can have further discussion regarding that question. For one, I don't know what confines we're held in when it comes to our public art coordinator actually looking into grants. For one, we have to, for the city of Syracuse, we have to go to council anytime we want to submit for a grant. So that's one mechanism that we automatically need to do anyways. I wasn't sure if, Kate, did you have to consult with the Public Art Commission when you went for a grant? I think a lot of those questions could probably be answered by Kate, right? Being that you
Yeah.
were the previous Public Art Coordinator?
And I'm still until May the 7th, I guess.
Sure.
So the grants, I mean, I guess I would say I coordinated through the SPAC. I mean, as the, because, well, I mean, for example, the mural that's out front of City Hall now, that was a grant from Bloomberg that the city applied for, and the commission was very involved with in terms of, well, actually selection of artists and then the review of the process of the project itself. So, I would imagine that the future public art coordinator will be coordinating very closely with SPAC as you are the Public Art Commission. So, and that can be something that can be sort of agreed to when the new person comes on too. But or make it an understanding, obviously. But it doesn't make any sense not to involve the commission in those types of decisions. And meeting on a monthly basis, there'll be an opportunity for report back and what's being proposed and you know and to get your ideas and input on projects moving forward.
Agreed. Liability as far as, can you be more specific? Oh, you guys at the Gear Factory?
Right.
Well, it's, unfortunately, that still stands. When you permit any park in the city, you have to come with a liability policy. Doesn't have to be long-standing, but it needs to be during the time of the permitted event. Anything for 200 members and over requires a liability policy. Anything under that does not for an event.
Yeah. So I
Sorry
can
to hear that.
Yeah. No, I can fill in on that. So the issue is whether or not the public art is going to be the city's. Is it permanent? And if the city is going to own the public art, that's one process, then you don't need that liability. But if it's a temporary, this has been the policies, if it's a temporary installation, sculptural installation, for example, someone needs to cover that liability. And if it's, again, this is a public, I think we're still at the very beginning of what newly invigorated Light Art Park would look like. And that is definitely one of the questions that needs to be asked is who will cover the liability insurance for temporary works? Transportation, yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right, because somebody might be injured while installing, so that's a whole
That's,
nother
and
thing.
that's why the city always required for these, yeah, for the, yes, we do. Yeah, and that's actually, that's through Sura that owns the park, I mean, the park, it's officially a Sura piece of property rather than parks. And no, there are insurance, that we do have an insurance policy for Whale's Tail. Yep. There've been plenty of stickers. No overt vandalism yet, of the worst kind yet. So.
Kate, has that application, that approach that you just mentioned, did you ever have an instance that was in a park?
I'm sorry, which? That,
Any previous instances of temporary art installations within a park? that match the mechanism that you just utilize, the same mechanism that you just mentioned.
Yeah, needing to get the insurance.
Yeah.
In a park. Most of the sculptural works, apart from the ones in Lipe that were sort of temporary in nature, have been adopted by the city. So I'm just trying to. I don't think there have been, not any recently. I know, for example, the hand, which is
Yeah.
down by that became part of the permanent collection because of the liability issue. Well, because of the popularity of the piece, but also the question of who would cover the liability moving forward.
Well, that's a
So-
promising answer. And we can talk more about it. Thank you for that.
Curious, does the park have an overall insurance over equipment or things on site that an expanded policy over artwork? Like, there's enough art in parks to just expand parks policy anywhere.
One of our parking lot, they just want to list it on
Pay a little extra.
whatever, and it doesn't cost me anything extra. But yeah, it's often exist. I guess what you're saying is often existing policy for parks. You just add
You can get a rider.
Yes.
a rider to a piece of artwork. So
I think part of the issue is that the city is self-insured. So, or that is the main issue, it's self-insured. So there's not,
Good thing, or is that a problem?
it becomes a problem. Yeah, yeah. So it's how much liability the city wants to take on. Yeah. Yeah, and so it's something that needs to be addressed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Got some homework, Tony.
Insurance homework. Enjoy.
Thanks for stacking it on me. No, this is great. This is actually great. It's great. It's work, but it's fruitful work, so it's good. Well, actually, I was just in a meeting about that earlier. Timeline, no. No. You know, you should reach out to Eric and he'll be able to give you the most accurate timeline. Nah, his answer is accurate. It's kind of like he left you, you know, unfulfilled, and that's how I'd leave you also.
With curating the space or trying to really look at the overall park, not knowing what it could be in terms of aspect through it. And if you want to elevate some sites and just change it. He works up in the park now.
Very likely, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that discussion.
Now, that's right, now we've done a good trench, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously there's a little bit of homework to do on both ends and maybe work towards the goal of recreating, or whatever, the Friends or whatever we're calling it. Tony, we can look into all those questions that were brought up, and then maybe also considering the template, you know, how we 130 some odd park spaces throughout the city that are under the jurisdiction, I think a large part of what we're all trying to accomplish is having these as moving forward together so that we can do it at other spaces throughout the city.
Absolutely, and I'd like to agree with you. Yeah, you guys gave me some homework, but this is fitting for the situation, considering that the public art coordinator is now going full-time, and we're moving it into a different direction. With it being full-time, it allows the public art coordinator to kind of push the envelope a little more as far as public art in the city. So I look forward to this ride with you all.
Awesome. All right, everyone.
I motion to adjourn.
Tina, thank you for the motion. Emmanuel, thank you for the second. There you go. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.